Hi, I hope I am in focus. Hi, I still have to do, this YouTube thing. But hi and welcome. You're gonna see my iPad in just a minute. Just give me 1 minute and then we're gonna start this live because I'm so excited. I hope you saw the documentary. If you haven't, don't worry about it. We can still chat about it. Because, Hilma Klint was the most incredible woman, artist, I want to say ever, but maybe I'm too biased. Just because I feel like I really, 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 really love her. And also the documentary was incredibly well made. So I'm trying to show you my iPad so that you can see some pictures with me because here we go. Come on. Oh, I left all my all my notes. I left them around here, and you can see I've been using paper with stuff on it. And I have two pieces of paper full of notes because, first of all, the documentary, as I said, was incredible. I'm sorry if it was hard to find. It was also hard to find for me. In Europe, I found ways. Don't ask, but I did. I'll try to find better, more easily findable, let's say, documentaries next time. I have already an idea for next time, but I'll share it tomorrow. Because today, we need to focus on Hilma Klint because, she's basically the mother that we don't recognize of abstraction. And there are also some hints during the documentary that Kandinsky, who's considered the father of abstraction painting, abstract painting. Again, sorry, I'm Italian. Knew about her. But we're going to deep dive into it in a moment. For anyone who's new here, hi, my name is Joy. I'm an art jeweler and I'm hosting this new art club called the Art Break Club because every day of the week we take 30 minutes out of our busy lives to talk about arts and crafts and what is important in the art world and what is relevant for this community. And hopefully we're going to be able to create a community where we can actually, talk about art and what's important for us instead of just, fast-paced, commercial, all of that, which I think we don't need. At least I don't need as much. So anyway, each day we do something different. So on Mondays we talk about documentaries and we share what we thought about them. On Tuesdays, I work on my bench, which is where actually I'm sitting, and we chat about the art world on different topics. On Wednesdays, that's going to be a surprise because it's going to be different because I want to do something new. On Thursdays, I learn how to draw because I've never learned, and you can learn with me or just take a 30 minutes break and sketch. And on Fridays, we talk about art news. So that being said, today, we're going to talk about this documentary. If you haven't, please go watch it. I know it's a documentary that needs a bit more focus because it has subtitles and stuff like that, but it's absolutely worth it because Hilma Klint is somebody that is completely, well, not completely, but it's quite still far away from the public eye. It's very niche still, and we should celebrate her and have posters all everywhere. So I met Hilma Klint, obviously not personally. She was born in 1862, so yeah. But at the Guggenheim exhibition, I want to say 4 years ago, in 2020, I think, and I completely fell in love with her work. I think I've never seen anything that was so different, so unique, and that resonated so much and in such a different way with me. It was absolutely incredibly touching, in my humble opinion. So that's how I unfortunately how I found out of her existence, because I had studied art history. My sister actually is an art historian. I mean, she specialized in the Middle Ages, but still, I had never heard of Hilma af Klint. It wasn't in my art books. I mean, I heard of Kandinsky, of Paul Klee, of, I don't know, Pollock, but I had never heard of Hilma af Klint, which to me is such a huge, incredible pity. So I don't want to like go on and like share the document step by step, because I think that if you want to check it out, and I have no, it's not an affiliate link or anything, I don't get anything from it, and I shouldn't, and I don't care about it. But if you like and you're interested in it, I think it's much more in-depth perspective what they can give you, so go and watch it, because I think that is amazing. I would like to talk about, like, to do a commentary on that rather than a description of what the documentary was already saying. So one of the things that for me, as a science major, I have a degree in chemistry, and I've always loved like particle physics, quantum mechanics, all of that has always been like one of the things that I've loved since I was a teenager, I want to say. To me, it was like super fascinating. Unfortunately, I was never like really that good at maths to become a physicist. So I did the next best thing, which for me was chemistry. And to me, all of these are just some of her paintings. Like, they remind me so much of the structure of the orbitals of atoms, which you can see here. And I don't know, I mean, it depends on how much chemistry you've done when you were in high school, when you were at university, if you did have the chance to go there. But these are the orbitals that basically describe the probability where the electron would be in an atom. That's what they are showing. And I mean, the relativity equation is from 1905. And so this moment, the first painting that I've shown you, this one, is from 1906. And throughout her career, I think we can really see the influence of this new science, you know, how much all the different waves that they were discovering at a time, you know, radio waves, X-rays, every part of the electromagnetic spectrum was being discovered, and how she was reinventing her vision of the world through this. And to me, this is just so fucking exciting. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go a bit full nerd in this, but so our company that creates jewelry is called La Luce, which means the light. And the reason why I chose this name, which has nothing, I mean, I didn't choose it because of her, but I chose it because I think everything that we see, everything that is part of our perception of beauty is thanks to the light that we see, and everything that is like our energies, all of that comes from the electromagnetic spectrum. And so to me, it was like calling something the reality, you know. And I would really, really like to, like, you know how bees can, I'm trying to do two things at once and I can. Electromagnetic. You know how bees can see like infrared and we can't? So like flowers actually have different patterns that can be seen only through infrared, and we unfortunately can't see it because we just see the light spectrum, which is such, like, this is a very like easy scheme, but the visible part, you can see how tiny it is there in the middle, and the rest of it is everything that we can't see with our eyes. Now we have instruments to see them, to perceive them rather than see them. But it's just so exciting that they were, you know, starting to understand all of this, and how she was putting this into her perception of the visual world. And it's just in the documentary they were talking about the fact that her will, her desire was to understand the visual world. Actually, it was to understand visually the world, which is slightly different. And I think it's when you understand that what we see is such a small part of what exists, not only because, we don't see that everything that's too small, everything that's too big, that it's not, perceivable for us, but also what we see, which I think we perceive as a complete reality around us. At least I personally perceive it as like a sphere around me of everything I can see that is in my field of vision, and that it's my reality. But once you understand that there is so much data, we would say today, there that we can't perceive because we don't have the instruments to perceive it, because we see just such a tiny sector of the electromagnetic field, I think then just a universe opens. And I think that's kind of what happened to her. She also, like, in I don't want to like run and go to the end right like now, but she did so many things that went so deep. I think that's exciting. Anyway, these were her paintings from 1906, 1907, and the first Kandinsky painting that was considered the first abstract painting is from 1911. So you can see that this, from a woman in Sweden, she had been to the Royal Academy. She was a student there because it was in Sweden, it was for aristocratic women it was kind of normalized to learn how to draw and be self-sufficient until they married. So for young women to go and learn how to paint at the Royal Academy she was second generation, so it wasn't, she wasn't breaking those boundaries, but still it was something that was acceptable until you got married as a woman, and then your duties were towards being a mother and a wife and all of that, and a spouse. So actually, unfortunately I couldn't find them on Google, which to me is like, why? But there are some incredibly beautiful paintings of the first era when she was studying at the Royal College, at the Royal Academy. And I mean, there were flowers and portraits and landscapes. There is just one landscape that I found, which is this one, which is very beautiful, but I think there were other ones in the documentary that you can see that were absolutely stunning, and I didn't know that. So, I mean, she was an amazing painter, and then she started understanding that there was more to the world than what we actually see and what we can perceive, and so she started to do this deep dive into spirituality and the inner workings of humans. And wow, I mean, anyway, to me it was like incredible. I wanted to show you this because it's in the documentary. So this is how do you say it, a comparison between Hilma of Klint, which are these ones you can see on the left, and Joseph Albert with which you can see on the right, and this was from 1971. So her paintings were from 1916 and his is 1971, and he's considered a genius and she's not. And there were in the documentary, I couldn't find them again on Google, I'm sorry about that, but there are the same kind of comparisons between her and Paul Klee, very similar, between her and Cy Twombly, again very similar, and between even her and Andy Warhol, which in my opinion were slightly different, but it could be an inspiration. I don't know if it was. I haven't researched that. I have no idea. But there is quite an evident resemblance with the Marilyn portraits. So basically there were different portraits of the same woman made by Hilma af Klint in different colours. And you had the same, then you had, you know, the Marilyn paintings. Well, not painting, prints. And I mean, there's just one woman working mostly alone in Sweden without, you know, all the networking and contacts and everything, and she did so much. It's just incredible. So please go and see the documentary, because we need to give this woman the air of genius that she deserves, because she absolutely deserves it, absolutely 100%. And we don't have enough women geniuses. We have very few. I don't know who would be considered a woman who's genius. I mean, like, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, you know, Albert Einstein, those icons, we can discuss if there are or not, but still, those icons are considered geniuses by the world, to say, our culture at least. But we don't have the same for women, in my humble opinion. And if you have another, if that's not what you think, then let's chat about it. Anyway, let's go back to this primordial series, which again, in my opinion, this is from the Guggenheim website, but if I open it, it doesn't, you can't really see it, so you'll have to see it small, I'm sorry. But it's a series of all of these paintings, and these were at the Guggenheim, actually, obviously in the Guggenheim. And when you see them one after the other, and it's explained the journey, I think they are so on point. They are so incredibly on point. I think they are amazing, honestly. And I'm a Kandinsky lover. I've always loved Kandinsky. So this is nothing like against him or anything. I just think that these are more powerful, in my opinion. And she has all this thing about, you know, colors, like blue is for feminine energy and yellow is for masculine energy. And you know, the way they touch, the way they mix, the way that all this happens, all of this exists, to me is just, once you start reading into them, and I think it's absolutely worth it to do that. So if you have time, if you want to dive deep into Hilma af Klint, please do, because it's absolutely worth it. But these are so meaningful, so absolutely worth it. Then the other series they talk about is this one series, which again is very much about light and darkness, because when you know, when we understood, thanks to Heisenberg, that light is both, and Einstein, that light is both a wave and a particle, then Einstein defined that we don't know what light is, because it can't be two things at the same time. We have relativity, all of that. But the way she defines it is that light is not one thing, it's the light and the shadows. And so you can't have one without the other. And so it's the duality in one thing that exists. And you can see the evolution of this duality between, you know, the white and black swan, and then it becomes, I'm sorry that this is the only picture, which is quite shitty. Then you have a whole evolution through the colors and through minimalistic, through an abstraction. I mean, what it is, in my opinion, it's an abstraction, right, of something that she's understanding rather than perceiving, you know, because we can perceive light and what's happening, you know, we can see it, but we can't really. I think this is a perception of something deeper than that. One of the things, there was one citation which I think was amazing, and is, "I have been forced to renounce to the dearest wish of my youth to reproduce outer form and colour," which to me is like is perfect as chef's kiss. It's just perfect, because it is true that when we start working with art, I mean, maybe that's not everybody's experience, but it is mine. I think when we start, it was also, what I learned by looking at art. But I started when I was a child, wanting, or a teenager, wanting to, or appreciating things that were very naturalistic, that were very real, that I could recognize, that I could, a face is a face, hands, bodies, things that I could understand quite easily because I could see them, because they were there for me to see. And then as I grew older, I started to feel things that were different. So understanding more the emotional value of that painting or that sculpture or that whatever piece of art it was, that book. And it started, as I grew older, it started to go deeper than the surface. And I think that's very, that's so true. That's so true, because we, at a certain point, we understand that the surface doesn't satisfy us. It doesn't give us what we thought. We thought that painting that orange in that wonderful, incredible way would give us a way of knowing that orange and understanding that orange. And then I think there is a moment when you understand that understanding that orange is not the superficial part of that orange. I don't know if I'm just blabbering here, but that's how I see it personally. And so I think that citation is just so spot on, and it was amazing. I'm going to move a little bit because I've been already doing this for like 20 minutes. I haven't shown you anything. Sorry. Yeah, I completely agree. She's amazing. She's amazing. The second part of the documentary, I'll go on, was about these Big Ten, which I saw them at the Guggenheim, and they are, oh my God, they are amazing. They were meant to be, they are huge, first of all. They're huge. They're made on paper with tempera. I don't know how it's called. Anyway, with tempera. And they have this incredible palette that you can see here. I mean, who ever used this in 1907? Who used these colors in this way? Nobody, only her. And they were meant for a temple, because at this point she really started to dig deep into like mysticism, and she was called like a medium, and she was seeing angels and saying that it wasn't her that was painting, but it was a force that was painting through her. All of these kind of things. But these were for a temple which was supposed to be like all white, really tall, with these huge paintings on the walls. And the first two, so the blue ones, the first two on the left, on the high left, they're called childhood, and then the orange ones are youth, then the pink ones are adulthood, and the more like peachy, the last two on the bottom left, on the bottom right, are old age. And I see like the reproduction of cells in them. I see like the DNA. I see all this like sciencey thing, but I also see like so much of the, we would call it female gaze now, that like Sofia Coppola pinkyish kind of thing. And this is like so far from what 1907 art was, that I understand why this hasn't been shown for like 100 years. I truly understand it, because so further away from what it was, that it must have been something, even not understandable, even like too far ahead to be understood. One of the things that I thought was like they put there in the documentary, which was really interesting, is that she looked for like a mentor in Dr. Steiner, and he told her that she shouldn't show, that what she was doing was unacceptable and she shouldn't show it to anyone. She didn't paint for 4 years after that, or anything, nothing like exists from that period until 1912, and he had some pictures of her work, and he also knew Kandinsky. So they don't know it, we'll never know, but there is the possibility that Kandinsky actually saw her work, which, I mean, going on, she continued like this process of knowing herself and knowing her art and knowing the inner world, which again, they were actually exploring at the time. So we must like understand the wonder and the worlds that this opened, because it was something just incredible to witness, you know? And so this is like her interpretation of the Tree of Life. All of these, they're not single paintings, they're a series, and they're quite small. They were, I think, like this big. Like, yeah, something, you can't see it, sorry. Too small, the camera is just too close to me. Like that big. Like 2 of my heads, maybe a bit bigger. But they're all series, and I think you can, again, really see where it comes from and where it's going and how the abstraction worked its way through it. I think they are absolutely amazing. So she'd never, also one of the other things, like she was a woman who never married, never had children. Oh, it's not something that we don't accept it today. We don't accept a woman with her own vision that gives her life to art or to her job or whatever now in 2024. So she was like ages before her time, and we don't appreciate her genius, in my opinion. This is the Dove series. Again, you can, if you see it from start to the finish, you can see how her thought proceeds, which I think is super interesting. And the last, like I want to show you, like these are the reproduction of cells that she could have kind of seen, or, well, these are not like pictures, these are designs. But like, am I the only one who sees this, like this one that I opened, and then sees, where is it? And sees this one up here and sees the same thing, because I do see that, and that's, you know, this is the first painting, so this is the beginning, the childhood, but also, you know, the beginning. I see so much of that, and I, as a person who is now an artist and has studied science, I feel like this is like my spirit animal, you know, my spirit person, my spirit guide. So anyway, one of the most interesting series that she did, and then I'm gonna like try to stop being excited about this, and I hope I'm gonna have a chance to talk about this some more because I want to so badly, is the series on religion. She became what they define a theosophist, which was basically an idea of putting all the religions together and understanding that they are basically the same thing, which, again, super interesting. Absolutely, I would like to learn more about that, and I probably will. But she did a series on these, like this is the Christian religion. There is another one on, there are all the religions. So there is like Buddhism, there is Judaism, there are all of them. And all the religions and how they perceived the being and the gods and all of that, and they basically become one. So yeah, so like this one was the standpoint of Judaism. There are different, I think this one was was about light. It wasn't what I was talking about, but anyway, I'm sorry that I couldn't show you nicer pictures. Unfortunately, we still don't have really good pictures of Hilma Klint, but if you have the time and the means to see the documentary, I advise you to see it on a wonderful screen with wonderful colors, because it's absolutely worth it. And I hope you see them in a better way that I could have shown them to you, because it's super, super interesting and super exciting. She never we think that we thought that she never exhibited, but she did at least one exhibition in London, which I think, again, is super exciting and super interesting, because it's not that people didn't know that she existed, it's that people decided to ignore her, to actively ignore her for a very long time. And now we're at a point where we need to understand where we're going to position her in art history. And that's an exciting task, because she did things that nobody else was doing. And I mean, why am I not talking about her more? sorry. I think I get a bit too excited about Hilma Klint, but again, I love her. I definitely love her. So yeah, I promised that these were going to be just 30 minutes art breaks, and they wouldn't be longer. So I need to say goodbye and say that we're gonna we can chat tomorrow. Maybe we can chat more about women geniuses and that, because now I'm really fired up about it, and I need to talk about it with somebody, and nobody that lives with me wants to listen. So I'm gonna do it with you. But I'm gonna leave you with with two things. First one is that in the documentary they were talking about the fact that she left all these paintings to her nephew, who couldn't sell them, and so they were talking about how the art world, the museums and stuff, is still a market, and so something that can't be sold and that's not making you a profit is still a big problem for the art market. And I thought that was a very interesting take on this. And the last bit is just a citation from her that says that I'm able to describe the path of the soul. And that's what she was trying to do and convey through her art. And I think that that's kind of what we're all, looking for, some through religion, some through art, some through science, some, even people who don't believe in having a soul. But we're still trying all to figure that out, in a way, in our personal ways that have different explanations and different reasoning and logic. But I think that's very true. And with that being said, I've gone long here, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to see you tomorrow, and I hope you have the chance to see the documentary or some of her paintings in live, because it's absolutely 100% worth it. And with that, I'm going to say bye.